Michael Jordan doesn't speak on current players. The man who changed basketball forever rarely gives his opinion on today's game, but when he does, the world listens. And what MJ just said about Caitlin Clark changes everything. He didn't just praise her, he called out the entire WNBA for how they've treated her. He demanded changes, and he revealed exactly why he sees something in Caitlin that reminds him of himself. Stay with me because what Jordan said is about to blow your mind. Let's be real for a second. When Michael Jordan talks, it matters. This is the guy who won 6 championships, changed the entire culture of basketball, and became a global icon. He doesn't waste words. He doesn't hand out compliments like candy. So when MJ finally broke his silence on Caitlin Clark, everyone needed to hear what he had to say. Here's what Jordan said, and listen carefully because every word counts. The WNBA owes Caitlin a lot for what she's done for the game. That's not casual praise. That's Michael Jordan saying the entire league is in debt to one rookie, but he didn't stop there. Jordan also called for changes in officiating, making it crystal clear that the refs have been unfair to Caitlin, and it's time for the league to make things right. Think about that for a moment. Jordan is essentially saying the system failed her. Coming from someone who faced his own battles with rough play during his career, that statement carries serious weight. MJ knows what it's like to be targeted. He knows what it's like when everyone wants to knock you down because you're changing the game. So what made him break that silence now? What did he see in Caitlin Clark that made him feel like he had to say something? When Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, she wasn't just another rookie, she was a phenomenon. She had broken college basketball records, drawn massive crowds, and created a level of buzz that women's basketball had never seen before. Everyone knew her name, everyone wanted to see her play. And that became a massive problem. See, most WNBA players had been grinding for years in relative obscurity. They'd been fighting for attention, fighting for better pay, fighting just to get people to watch their games. Then here comes this college player with more followers than entire WNBA teams, getting endorsement deals before she even played a professional game. And suddenly every arena is sold out when her team comes to town. That created resentment. And that resentment turned into something ugly. NBA legend Rick Barry saw it happening and he didn't hold back. Barry made it clear that the constant hate Caitlin faced from certain WNBA players was nothing but jealousy. His exact words, "I think it's reprehensible what they're allowing some of these players to do. Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady should be suspended and fined big time."
I think it's reprehensible what they're allowing some of these players to do. Anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time for doing that.
Barry wasn't playing around. He was calling out the league for allowing Caitlin to be targeted, and he was right because what happened on the court went way beyond normal competition. Players were throwing elbows, they were hip-checking her into the stands, they were talking trash in ways that had nothing to do with basketball and everything to do with trying to break her spirit. And the officials, they just let it happen. George Gervin stepped up too. He compared Caitlin to Tiger Woods, and that comparison is perfect. Just like Tiger brought millions of new fans to golf, Caitlin was doing the same for women's basketball. Gervin said it straight up. They don't know the value that she's bringing. She's bringing the money. They're flying private planes now. They weren't flying private before she came.
They don't know the value that she's bringing for all of them. She bringing, they flying private planes now. They weren't flying private before she came. They on major networks now. They weren't doing that. See, she remind me of Tiger Woods for.
That's the reality. Before Caitlin Clark, most WNBA teams were flying commercial. Before Caitlin, you couldn't find WNBA games on major networks. Before Caitlin, most players were working second jobs just to make ends meet. But instead of thanking her, some players decided to make her life miserable. Former NBA player Jeff Teague watched all of this happen and he couldn't believe it. His take was raw. They played this all wrong. They were supposed to gas this girl up. This is why people don't watch the WNBA. Y'all are hating on the best thing that's going to happen to the league. Teague nailed it. The WNBA had been begging for attention for decades. And then finally they get a player who can deliver all of that. And what did they do? They tried to tear her down. That's what Michael Jordan saw. And that's part of why he spoke up. But while some players were trying to destroy Caitlin, basketball legends were watching her game and seeing something remarkable. Steph Curry gets compared to Caitlin constantly. People call her the female Steph because of her shooting range, so obviously people wanted to know what Steph himself thought. And Steph, he was blown away. Curry broke down exactly what makes Caitlin special. He said, "I saw somebody break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. Can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. She's a performer." But then Steph said something crucial. He said, "It's crazy though, just because her shot is at that level, if you really watch her floor game, it's as impressive. It's kind of the total package." That's the key right there. Caitlin isn't just a shooter. She sees the floor like an elite point guard should. She makes her teammates better. She affects the game even when the ball isn't in her hands. That's what separates good players from great ones. Kevin Garnett had a different take. KG is known for his intensity, so when he talked about Caitlin facing rough treatment, he saw it through a competitor's lens. Garnett said, "All rookies, you're going to go through something. When you got the bullseye on your back, it's going to come with something. It's a compliment. You're a fear factor." KG's perspective is that the targeting is actually a sign of respect. It means defenses fear you. And in Garnett's world, that kind of treatment is just part of becoming great. The best players don't just survive the rough treatment. They use it as fuel. Magic Johnson offered another layer. Magic owns part of the LA Sparks, so he knows the WNBA from the inside. He compared the current moment to when he and Larry Bird entered the NBA. Magic said, "Caitlin is the most popular WNBA player, but she's not the best at this time. Just like Larry and I were not the best when we entered the league, we became the best." That's wisdom right there. Magic is saying Caitlin is still developing, she's still learning, and that should terrify everyone else because she's already changing the game as a rookie. All of these legends are circling around the same truth. Caitlin Clark has something that can't be taught, and they all recognize it because they had it too. Now here's where the story connects to what Jordan really noticed, because Caitlin didn't just change the game on the court. She changed the entire business of women's basketball. Before Caitlin Clark, the average Fever game drew 5,000 people. Once Caitlin arrived, games were selling out, 17,000 people packing the arena. TV ratings exploded. Games featuring Caitlin were drawing 10 times the viewership of regular WNBA games. And the money? The money changed everything. Suddenly there's enough money for private charter flights. Suddenly there are major sponsorship deals. Charles Barkley saw all this and went off. Chuck said, "You women out there, y'all petty. Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all private charters, all the money and visibility she's bringing. Don't be petty like dudes." That's classic Chuck, but he's absolutely right. The woman bringing in all the money is the same woman getting knocked around on the court and disrespected by her peers. It makes no sense. And here's something Michael Jordan definitely understands better than almost anyone. Jordan didn't just dominate basketball, he changed the entire financial landscape of professional sports. His endorsement deals, his shoe line, his global brand proved that an athlete could be bigger than their sport. When Jordan looks at Caitlin Clark, he sees someone with that same potential. He sees someone who isn't just playing basketball, she's creating a movement, she's changing the culture. That's why the business side matters to Jordan. Players like Caitlin don't come along often, and when they do, you don't tear them down, you protect them. Then came the Olympic team decision, and that's when things got really interesting. Everyone assumed Caitlin Clark would be on Team USA. She was the most popular player in women's basketball. Then the roster was announced, and Caitlin wasn't on it. The basketball world lost its mind. Paul Pierce made a great point about the decision. Pierce said, "You claim you want the women's game to grow, and then you keep the most popular girl off the team?
You claim you want the women's game to grow, and then you keep the most popular girl in women's basketball off the team. How do you grow internationally and domestically if you don't put her on the U.S. team? It just makes the most sense. Sometimes you have to say, hey guys, this is bigger than the game."
Women's basketball is at an all-time high because of Caitlin Clark, but here's where the story gets good. Dwight Howard made a prediction that turned out to be genius. Howard said Caitlin should use the Olympic break to work on her game and come back stronger, and that's exactly what happened. For the Olympic break, Caitlin was good, but she also looked tired. Then came the break. 3 weeks to rest and work. When Caitlin came back, she was a completely different player. Her scoring exploded. Her efficiency improved. Charles Barkley even noticed it, saying, "Now when I watch her, she's playing much faster." She was playing too slow the first half of the season. Caitlin had figured something out during that break. She started hitting shots from distances that seemed impossible. She started taking over games in ways that even her biggest supporters didn't expect. Looking back, maybe getting left off the Olympic team was the best thing that could have happened to her, but it still sent a message. The establishment wasn't ready to embrace Caitlin Clark yet, and that's part of what Michael Jordan was responding to when he spoke up. Jordan's comments about officiating weren't just about bad calls, they were about a system that wasn't protecting its biggest star. Think about Jordan's own career when he was coming up. The NBA had to make a choice. They could let defenders beat him up, or they could protect him and watch him take the sport to new heights. The NBA chose to protect Jordan. They adjusted the rules. They created an environment where the most talented players could showcase their skills. And what happened? Jordan became the biggest star in sports. The NBA became a global powerhouse. Everyone won. That's what Jordan wants for Caitlin and for the WNBA. He wants them to protect their star and let her talent shine. So why does Michael Jordan love Caitlin Clark's game? It's not just about the three-pointers or the assists. Jordan loves Caitlin Clark because he sees himself in her. He sees the competitive fire, that killer instinct that separates good players from legends. Caitlin plays with a chip on her shoulder every single night. That's the Jordan mentality right there. He sees the way she handles pressure. The biggest stages don't scare her. The hostile crowds don't shake her. She rises to the occasion when the lights are brightest. Jordan did the same thing, and he recognizes that quality when he sees it. He sees the way she performs. Great players don't just play the game, they put on a show. They deliver moments that people will remember forever. Jordan was the greatest performer the NBA has ever seen, and he sees that same quality in Caitlin. And most importantly, Jordan sees the way she's changing the game. He sees someone who isn't content to just fit into the existing system, someone who is forcing everyone else to adjust to her. That's exactly what Jordan did in the NBA. He didn't just win championships, he changed the entire culture of basketball, he made it global, he made it must-watch television. Caitlin is doing the same thing in the WNBA. She's proving that women's sports can draw massive crowds, can generate serious revenue, can capture the imagination of sports fans around the world. When Shaquille O'Neal sat down with Angel Reese and praised Caitlin, it showed how the basketball world is coming around. Shaq said, if I say 10 times you're not going to hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth. That's the test. Can you deliver when the pressure is highest?
And I was a hater because, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot. And bam, like, damn, she's not going to hit that shot. Man, like if I say 10 times you're not going to hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth. So I'm telling you now, if you just lower it like this.
Caitlin passes that test every single night, and that's why Jordan loves her game. But there's something deeper too. It's about respect. It's about getting the credit you deserve. Jordan fought for respect his entire career, and he won those battles by being undeniable, by performing on the biggest stages, by silencing every critic with his play. Caitlin is in the same battle right now. She's fighting for respect from players who resent her fame. She's fighting for fair treatment from officials. Jordan sees that fight, and he remembers what it was like. That's why he spoke up. That's why he said the WNBA owes her, because Jordan knows that once-in-a-generation talents deserve to be protected, not torn down. They deserve an environment where they can reach their full potential and show the world what they're capable of. Magic Johnson's comparison to the Bird Magic rivalry is important too. When Magic and Larry entered the league, they saved the NBA. Their rivalry became legendary and the NBA exploded. The WNBA is at a similar crossroads right now. Jordan understands that parallel. He sees Caitlin as the start of something similar for women's basketball, but here's the crucial part. Magic and Bird were embraced by the league. The NBA marketed them and protected them. That's what needs to happen with Caitlin Clark. And the stats back everything up. Caitlin's impact is measurable. Attendance is up across the board. TV ratings have shattered records. Merchandise sales have exploded. But more than that, the culture is changing. Young girls are watching women's basketball now. They're buying jerseys. They're dreaming of playing in the WNBA someday. That's the legacy stuff. That's the kind of impact that lasts for generations. And Jordan recognizes it because he created the same impact in the NBA. Think about how many kids started playing basketball because they wanted to be like Mike. Caitlin is creating that same effect for women's basketball. The thing about Jordan's comments that really stands out is how protective they are. He's not just saying nice things. He's calling out the system for failing her. He's demanding changes. That's what legends do. They lift up the next generation. They use their voice to create opportunities for others. Jordan didn't have to say anything, but he chose to speak up because he saw something worth protecting, and that tells you everything about how special Jordan thinks Caitlin really is. So here's the bottom line. Michael Jordan loves Caitlin Clark's game because he sees himself in her competitive fire. He appreciates what she's doing for the business of basketball. He respects how she handles pressure and performs on the biggest stages. He recognizes the generational impact she's having on the sport. But more than any of that, Jordan loves that Caitlin is changing the game. She's proving that women's sports can generate massive interest and genuine cultural impact. That's revolutionary. That's exactly what Jordan did in his career, and he recognizes it when he sees someone else doing it. The WNBA is at a crossroads. They can embrace this moment, protect their biggest star, and ride the wave to unprecedented success, or they can let jealousy and short-sighted thinking ruin the greatest opportunity they've ever had. Michael Jordan's message is clear. The WNBA owes Caitlin Clark. They owe her protection. They owe her respect. Because when Caitlin succeeds, everyone wins. The players make more money. The league gains more visibility. The sport grows globally. Young girls get a role model who shows them what's possible. That's why Jordan spoke up. That's why his words matter. Caitlin Clark isn't just a talented rookie. She's a once-in-a-generation talent who is changing the entire landscape of women's sports, and the greatest player in basketball history sees it, recognizes it, and is using his voice to make sure she gets what she deserves. Respect, protection, and the chance to be great, just like he was.